My name's Aaron, and this happened about 4 months ago when I moved into a place I should have never signed for. Apartment 2A rent was crazy low, which should have been my first red flag. But I was broke, recently laid off, and I'd convinced myself that anything with 4 walls and a roof was a blessing. The building was old, like really old. Creaky floors, yellowing wallpaper, pipes that moaned when you ran the water. The hallways smelled like wet carpet and something faintly sour. But I told myself I could live with it. The landlord was this skinny, gray-faced guy named Mr. Casa. He barely looked me in the eye when he handed over the keys. Just muttered something like, "Don't go snooping upstairs," and walked off without explaining a thing. I figured he meant the attic or maybe the top floor. Either way, I wasn't planning on snooping. I just needed a place to crash while I figured things out. The first night passed without much incident. I unpacked, made myself some boxed mac and cheese, and passed out on the futon. I didn't even make the bed. Second night, though, that's when I heard it. It started around midnight. I was lying in bed scrolling on my phone when I noticed something. Humming. Soft, melodic humming. A woman's voice, slow and sort of sad, like an old lullaby you only half remember. It was coming from the ceiling. I figured it had to be someone in the apartment above me. No big deal. Sound travels in old buildings. Maybe she was just singing herself to sleep. It actually helped me drift off. The next night, the humming came again. Same time, same tune, but it was clearer, louder, and something about it made me freeze. It wasn't that the song itself was scary. It was the way it felt directed. Like whoever was humming knew I was listening. Like she was singing to me. I knocked on the ceiling, just 3 polite taps. The kind you give a neighbor when you want to say, "Hey, thin walls." The humming stopped instantly. Then, about 5 seconds later, I heard 3 knocks back. Not from the ceiling, not from above me, but from inside my apartment. I shot up in bed, heart pounding. I turned on every light, grabbed the nearest thing I could use as a weapon, which unfortunately was a broom, and started checking the apartment. Closet, bathroom, under the futon, nothing. No one, just me and the rain, starting to tap against the window. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I decided to ask Mr. Cass about the apartment above mine. I caught him in the lobby, asked who lived in 3A. His eyes narrowed like I'd said something I wasn't supposed to. Then he said flatly, "It's empty. Has been for years." I asked, "Then who's been humming at night?" He didn't answer. Just stared at me like I was a problem he didn't want to deal with and walked away. That night, the humming returned. But this time, it wasn't coming from the ceiling. It was inside the walls. I pressed my ear against the drywall and held my breath. The voice was right there, singing softly, mournfully, as if she were sitting in the space between the studs. I stepped back, confused and shaking. Then she started knocking again. 3 knocks, from behind the wall, inches from my face. I didn't sleep at all that night. Next day, I went out and bought one of those cheap stethoscope things. Don't laugh. I was desperate. I used it to listen to different parts of the apartment, trying to trace the source of the sound. And sure enough, every time I pressed it against the east wall in the bedroom, I could hear her humming. It wasn't constant. It would come and go, but it was always the same melody. That night, I left my phone recording on my nightstand while I tried to get some rest. When I checked the audio in the morning, I almost dropped the phone. At 3:12 a.m., clear as day, a voice whispered, "I see you." That was it. No more humming. Just that. I packed a bag and stayed with my friend Nate for a few days. Told him my plumbing was busted. I didn't want to sound insane, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. That voice, the knocks, the song. What if someone was living in the walls? What if Mr. Cass was hiding something? When I finally worked up the nerve to go back, I decided I was going to find out what was above me, empty or not. I waited until after dark. Cass was never around at night anyway. I snuck up the stairwell, past the 3rd floor landing, and found the door to apartment 3A. No name, just a rusted number on the door. Locked, of course. But the frame looked weak. I gave it a hard shoulder and the door gave way with a loud crack. Dust exploded into the air as the smell of mold and rot hit me in the face. The apartment was stripped bare. No furniture, no lights, just empty rooms and warped floorboards. But then I heard it. The humming, coming from the back room. I followed it slowly, heart pounding in my ears. I felt like I was walking underwater. The back room was a bedroom, or had been. Peeling wallpaper, broken window, and in the center of the floor, a small hole, like someone had pulled up a floorboard and never put it back. The humming was coming from there. I knelt beside it, my hands shaking, and looked down. Darkness. And then, eyes. Two pale, wide eyes stared up at me from the shadows, and a mouth, slowly forming a smile. She whispered, "Found you." I didn't scream. I couldn't. My lungs locked up. My legs refused to move. I just stared into that hole, into the face of whatever she was, pale skin like old wax, thin lips stretched into a smile that didn't match her eyes. Those eyes were too wide, too still. Not blinking, not human. And then slowly she started to rise. Her head moved first. No sound, no effort. Just up. Like she was floating through the floor. I don't even remember running. 1 second I was kneeling by the hole, and the next I was flying down the stairs, tripping, scraping my arm on the railing, slamming into my own apartment door like my life depended on it. Because it did. I didn't sleep that night. I locked the door, pushed my dresser in front of it, curled up in the kitchen with a knife in my hand. But nothing came. No knocks, no humming, nothing. By morning, I'd convinced myself I hallucinated the whole thing. Stress, maybe. Lack of sleep. That's what people say, right? You hear what you expect to hear in silence. You see things in the dark. I tried to believe it. I really tried. Until I went into my bedroom and found a piece of floorboard sitting in the middle of the room. Not broken, not loose. Just placed there. Like someone had been trying to dig their way in from underneath. That day, I finally got smart and started researching the building. I went to the public records office, dug through dusty archives, scanned old property records, news articles, anything with the building's address. And I found something. Apartment 3A had once belonged to a woman named Elise Marlowe. Back in 1979, she was reported missing, just vanished one day. Her case stayed open for a while, but nothing ever came of it. Eventually, they assumed she left on her own. But neighbors back then had filed multiple noise complaints, said she was singing to herself at all hours, and some even claimed she knocked on their walls, trying to talk to them through the plaster. The thing that got me, though, one of the complaints described the exact same melody I'd been hearing, the exact same tune. I printed everything I could and brought it to Mr. Casa, slammed it on the counter in the lobby, and demanded he tell me what was going on. He looked at the papers for a long time, didn't touch them, just stared at the photo of Elise like it was a ghost. Then he finally spoke. "She never left," he said. "She died up there. Her body was never found, but I know. I know because I heard her. I still hear her." I asked him why he rented the apartment to me if he knew something was wrong. He said, "Because it gets worse when it's empty. It's like she hates being alone." I should have left right then, packed my stuff and never looked back. But I needed answers. I needed to know what she wanted from me. So I did the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. That night, I set up cameras in every room, bought one of those motion sensor recorders too. I wanted to catch her, to see if she was real or if my brain was unraveling. I waited in the bedroom, lights off, camera facing the east wall where I always heard her humming. Midnight came. No sound. 1 a.m., still nothing. Around 2:11, my camera light flickered. And then I heard humming. Not from the wall this time. From behind me. I turned slowly. She was standing in the doorway. Not crawling, not floating, just standing. Pale, soaked in shadow, head tilted slightly. Watching me. I couldn't move. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Then she walked backward into the hallway, disappearing from view. I should have stayed put. Called the cops. Burned the place down. Anything but what I actually did. I followed her. The hallway was pitch black, but the second I stepped into it, I could see her at the far end, facing the wall, one hand pressed against it, humming softly, her head tilted like she was listening to something on the other side. Then she whispered, "He's still in there." She looked over her shoulder at me. I asked, "Who?" She pointed to my apartment door, the man in the wall, and then she vanished, just blinked out like a light. I turned and sprinted back into my apartment, slammed the door, locked it, heart slamming so hard I thought I might pass out. And then, knock, knock, knock. Not from the hallway, from behind my bedroom wall. This time I didn't run. I pressed my hand against the wall, and this time I knocked back. Once, the humming stopped. There was a long silence, so long I thought it was over. Then a voice whispered from inside the wall, "You shouldn't have answered." I barely slept again. When the sun came up, I threw everything I owned into a bag and left. Didn't even tell Mr. Casa. I just walked out and never looked back. But that night, at my friend Nate's place, I heard humming through the vents. Same melody, same voice. She followed me, or maybe I was never the one she wanted. Maybe it was the man in the wall. I thought I was done. I thought leaving that apartment, getting as far away as I could, would end it. It didn't. Not even close. That night, back at Nate's, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to ignore the tight knot in my chest. And then I heard it, humming, low, distant, but unmistakable. The same lullaby. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the vents. It was inside my head. At first, I thought I was losing it, but the humming grew louder, clearer, until I could almost make out words in the melody. Words like a warning, like a curse. The next morning, I woke up drenched in sweat, and I knew I had to find out what she wanted. Not just the woman who hummed, but whoever or whatever was living in that wall in apartment 2A. I contacted an old friend, a private investigator named Julia. She was skeptical, but agreed to check out the building with me. When we got there, something felt off. The lobby was cold, darker than I remembered. Mr. Cass was gone. No forwarding address, no phone number. Like he'd disappeared into thin air. Julia and I headed to the manager's office. Inside, we found files, tenant records, old maintenance reports. Among them, a report from 1994. A tenant listed as Aaron Weaver, me. But the photo wasn't mine. It was a man with hollow eyes and a frozen smile. According to the report, that Aaron disappeared without a trace. I asked Julia if she knew about this kind of thing. People being replaced, erased. She just shook her head. We went to apartment 2A. The door creaked open easily. Inside, everything was covered in dust, like it had been abandoned for years. But then, the humming started again. Closer. I swear I saw a shadow flicker across the hallway wall. Julie and I backed out. But as we reached the stairwell, I heard a voice, software whispering, from the darkened apartment above. "Don't blink." I didn't need to be told twice. We ran. I haven't gone back since. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear the humming. Not from a ceiling or walls, but from inside me. And I don't know if it's her or if it's me. If you ever move into an old apartment with a tenant who warns you not to snoop upstairs, believe them. Because some places don't want to be disturbed. And some voices don't want to be forgotten.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more horror tales.